It's time for TWiT, the latest tech news. What a great panel we have. We're going to talk about the shocking behavior of the San Francisco PD, the upset going on over journalism in America. We'll talk about Google+, and yes, the Facebook date that went so very wrong. TWiT is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Audio bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by the new Winamp for Android, featuring wireless sync and one-click iTunes import. Now with free daily music downloads and full-length CD listening parties. Download it for free at winamp.com/Android. Video bandwidth for TWiT is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is TWiT, This Week in Tech, episode 317, recorded September 4th, 2011. What are the hookers going to do? This Week in Tech is brought to you by GoToMyPC. Stay connected with GoToMyPC, the missing link that turns your iPad into your computer. Download the free app and visit GoToMyPC.com for your free 30-day trial. And don't forget to use the promo code TWiT. And by Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to create a high-quality website or blog. For a free trial and 10% off your new account for 6 months, go to Squarespace.com and use the offer code TWiT9. And by Audible.com. Sign up for the Platinum Plan and get 2 free books. Visit Audible.com/TWiT2. And don't forget to follow Audible on Twitter. User ID Audible_com. It's time for TWiT, This Week in Tech, the show that covers technology news in obsessive detail. And we've got I was just saying, it's like the village elders of technology here. A very manly panel starting. Unfortunately, I wish you were in person with us, Jeff, because we're drinking some fine Italian wine. Jeff Jarvis, who could not be on This Week in Google with us this week, so we thought, well, let's get him on TWiT. Hi, Jeff.
I am so honored and delighted to be here. I love Twig, but I also just, when I'm on the big time, I feel like a grown-up. I've moved to the grown-up table at Thanksgiving. I'm very happy.
Jeff blogs at buzzmachine.com, and his course is a professor of journalism at the City University of New York. Worked for many years here in San Francisco at the was it the Chronicle or Examiner?
Examiner with his paper. And I'm sorry, but I have to do this.
And there's his new book, just came out, Public Parts.
September 27, coming out anytime. And TWiT readers, I want nothing more than you.
Now sharing, or what does it say? What's the subtitle?
How sharing in the digital age improves the way we work and live.
And we agonized for a long time over that on the Twig show.
Yes.
And that is a good subtitle, because it says it all. Can't wait to read it.
When I did the video promotion and I talked about my penis, they went to that. And I said, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Like I read it.
Jeff, it's great to have you. Thank you for being here. To Jeff's right, somebody who has, I don't think you've ever been on TWiT before.
No, it's my
but
first
an old
time.
friend, Cedric Ingrand. He is the host of Planet Cren, which is a very popular show about technology in France on TF1.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's actually on LCI, which is the news
I'm
channel.
sorry, LCI.
Yeah. I mean, and when I see Jeff feeling all grown up for being on TWiT, imagine how that makes me feel.
I'm just glad to have you. You brought wine, and I think that's a good start. Italian wine.
I brought wine and a Minitel.
Yeah, and a Minitel.
Italian.
Well, there's a story. There's a long story.
Great Italian wine that's actually owned by a U.S. CEO.
Look at this behind me. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a Minitel.
I want one.
That's a working Minitel. You're getting one, Jeff.
You're getting one. I couldn't bring 2 through airport security in Paris. Bringing 1 was fun enough. I mean, the guy looking at the X-ray was going, "What's that big thing in the middle?" I said, "That's a CRT. You haven't seen too many of those recently." And it's also actually pretty interesting because Minitel services are just now shutting down. I mean,
that's what happened. We talked about that on
I
Twitter.
haven't used one in maybe 12 years, but there's still people who have this at home and use it for directory assistance, getting train tickets and the like. They have just shut down the weather service this very weekend.
What are the hookers going to do?
Matt, yes, you said it. John C. Dvorak is here. You could tell he immediately jumped in. It's great to have you.
Minitel was a boon for adult services in the 80s and 90s.
Exactly.
Was it really?
Oh,
yeah.
Big time. It was
Absolutely.
effective.
Well, the idea was that the French Telecom gave everybody in France a Minitel terminal so they didn't have to give you phone books anymore.
Absolutely.
Right?
And then
this was in the age of Prodigy and Genie and CompuServe. This was early days of computing.
And you paid by the minute.
It was a video text service. Oh, you paid for it?
Oh, you paid by services by the minute with different tiered prices. And usually it was actually newspapers that were actually operating these adult services, because you needed to be a real media to operate services, be it not directory assistance,
so
but any kind of service.
The media
even
was
adult
running the hookers.
Absolutely, positively.
Yeah, it was France.
We have always been pimps in media.
It's it's the same today with the Village Voice. There's a lot of invective against the Village Voice because it's the same thing. Hey, before we go on, I do want to introduce the rest of our panel. John C. Dvorak from, of course, channeldvorak.com, and the great
No Agenda
No
Show.
Agenda. Did you look at the bricks? There's a bunch of No Agenda bricks out there.
NoAgendaShow.com. There's a NoAgendaShow.com brick.
Several of them.
Oh, good.
There's a brick that
Thank
says
you,
in the
ladies and
morning.
gentlemen.
It's like they thought I would get all upset if you did that. And of course
No
not.
agenda,
No,
no
he did,
spam.
believe me, he didn't get upset. He put them all in the bathroom.
No, they're right
on
in
the
front.
floor.
I'll show you when we're done. Also, and I'm really pleased to get Mike Elgan in here. I've been following Mike for a long time. Computer World, of course, but his newsletter, which was kind of off and on, then got very serious, has just been, for years, a great resource for me on not only great tech stories, but kind of the oddball stuff. You've been just great at that. And you have discovered and used Google+. There's a handful of people who are really using Google+ effectively. Trey Ratcliffe, Mike Elgan. If you're not following Mike on Google+, you're missing out. So it's great to have you, Mike. It's so nice to see you.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for finally making it to TWiT, and it's my fault, not yours. I should have invited you long ago. So a great panel to discuss a bunch of big stories. Here's Mike's saying. Bunch of big stories in the news, and I don't know where to start. I think we'll get to the San Francisco police in a bit. The scandal.
Come on, let's start with that.
It's a great story. Should we start with? No, I want to start with T-Mobile and AT&T, because really that is the real tech story of the week. The Department of Justice earlier this week announcing that they were going to sue to halt the $39 billion acquisition of T-Mobile by AT&T. Were you shocked, Jeff Jarvis, to hear this?
I was surprised. You know, I think we've seen a lot of merger activity going on lately, and why this one particularly gets stopped, I'm not sure. Yeah, there's less competition. That's absolutely true. But we take two sucky phone services and put them together. Do we have one less sucky phone service? That's
I
the
don't know.
question.
I am shocked because I just didn't think the DOJ did antitrust anymore. There hasn't been much action since George Bush entered the White House. And yet, I think if you're going to pick one, this is the one. Mike, you agree?
Well, first of all, I don't think the government's case is going to hold.
Really?
Yeah, I think it'll end up being. I think this judge Huvel is going to just say it's going to go sailing through. However, it kind of smacks of election year, election season politics.
Do you think they're out to? So Obama's just gouging?
He's just trying to win an
Let's
election.
get some money and come on, you guys donate a little bit.
Oh, you mean he thinks that if he does this, he'll get some money out of AT&T?
Yeah.
No. I think what's happening is they went over the list of where they're vulnerable, and they said, well, we haven't opposed anything.
Right.
We haven't stood up to our contributors. AT&T is the biggest contributor to political organizations.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, that's just you're just confirming my belief.
Well, I mean, but they look tough, and they probably know they don't have a case anyway. So
the district judge, U.S. District Judge Ellen Huvel of D.C. is known for not necessarily going with the government in these antitrust cases. Most recently, in 2001, she approved a merger between ComDisco and SunGard that the government had attempted to shut down, saying, in fact, there's no barrier to entry in the computer security business. So, and that's a good reason, frankly, to say, no, let this go through. There's a huge barrier to entry in cell phone companies. We have 4, but that's a weak 4. If you have AT&T, T-Mobile merging, that's the only GSM cell phone company in the States. That's a monopoly. It makes Sprint incredibly weak compared to AT&T and Verizon, probably a candidate for being gobbled up. And then you have 2. And I think that we have enough problems with lack of competition in the cell industry as is. I love seeing this, and I hope that they block it. Do you think Huvel will say yes to this? I mean, say no to it? She'll allow the merger?
I never said that. I agree with Mike that it's going to somehow get through.
God, I think
but
that's
as far as I'm
terrible.
concerned, and I've written about this in Market Watch, PC Mag, because I hate AT&T because they're basically a crummy company that does not serve the public well.
But aren't they
use
all crummy companies?
These guys are particularly bad. Yeah, they all are. And so we don't need a consolidation anymore because once this happens, it's going to be further consolidated until eventually AT&T will own the whole place again.
They're back.
As a, kind of with this name AT&T,
right.
Which they reacquired because it's not really AT&T, but it's kind of. And they got the AT&T theory. This should be stopped.
Well, you know who wants it stopped? You know who else wants it stopped is T-Mobile.
Yes, they make a lot of money.
They make $3 billion.
$3 billion plus Spectrum, plus the kill fee on this is huge.
That was 6.
Well, it's in effect it's 6 because of the value of the Spectrum.
Right. That's right.
It adds up to 6 or 7, but yeah, 3 in cash.
They get big discounts on incoming calls to AT&T.
Right.
So they're praying that this will not.
That's a question. Why would AT&T agree to a kill fee that big? I mean, they must have thought this is a no-brainer.
It was a slam dunk.
Yeah.
Apparently.
It was. But Leo, I think that one thing that we could get out of this is if Obama had the imagination, and if people had the imagination, is to negotiate mobile net neutrality to make the deal go through, and putting Verizon and the Google deal, the devil's deal, into a difficult position there then. But they won't do that. But that's what I wish would happen, is at least we'd get something out of this deal.
It's not unusual for this exact scenario to occur. The DOJ sues to block, and then everybody sits down at the table, and it's like a plea bargain. A deal is made. The government gets something that it wants. These companies get the merger.
So what do you most want?
I think that we need competition. I think that I use T-Mobile on a Google phone. Losing T-Mobile would, I think, be a tragedy for users because already these companies are rapacious. They act like monopolies with their early termination fees. Verizon starts it by giving you 20 seconds of crap to leave a message. Press 1 if you want to leave a fax. A what? And they go on, and this is a blatant attempt to rack up the minutes. Verizon does it, and everybody goes, hey, that's a good idea. So AT&T, T-Mobile, and Sprint do it. Mm-hmm. These companies are monopolies. They collude on prices. If it weren't for the fact that T-Mobile and Sprint are also RANs, I don't think we'd see competitive pricing from them. Thank God we do.
Plus, I don't want to lose.
How do you really feel, Leo?
Carly. I don't want to lose Carly, the beautiful woman in the T-Mobile ads.
Wait, doesn't she look just like? What's her name? Michael Douglas's wife,
said.
Catherine Zeta-Jones. She's a duplicate.
No, I don't. Well,
she's a young Catherine Zeta-Jones.
I have to
got
say,
nice legs. I have to say.
The whole telco industry in your country seems to be in a pretty sorry state when you're a consumer.
So in France, you have Orange.
We have Orange and Neuf and Free, and they're actually Free, which is a DSL.
How many companies are there?
I would say a dozen and 4 major.
That's what we need.
And I mean, 4 major meaning if we were in France right now, you'd get a choice of getting DSL from this dozen providers because they can each use each other's networks, and it works the same. I mean, I come from the beautiful land of $50 all-you-can-eat triple play with included phone service for free and blah blah blah. So and fiber costs pretty much the same. But
in the wire, so it sounds like there's a little confusion among wireless companies and phone companies and internet service providers. They're all the same
players?
Much, yeah.
Pretty much. Even Free, who was just a DSL provider, is now going to be a mobile operator, and apparently wants to come out
with... Who owns the spectrum in France? How does that work? Do they share spectrum?
Same as here. I mean, the spectrum is always a national treasure that
is leased to these companies.
Sort of.
But they're not sharing spectrum. They're all in their. I mean, how does that work?
Good question. They're all GSM. There's no CDMA in France.
That's one advantage you have.
The chat room will correct me, but I don't think there's even CDMA anywhere in Europe.
Maybe it's Canada.
It's all
GSM.
GSM.
Asia.
Korea's all CDMA.
So everyone works on the same standards with the same phones, which is real important. I mean, the whole debate about there's no CDMA iPhone, blah blah blah, is not something that's really
phones are by law unlocked, right?
No. They're locked when you buy them because you do get. I mean, the company sponsors the price of the phone when you buy it.
But they unlock in 2 years.
By law, they have to unlock it if you ask within 6 months.
They
have to
offer it, right? I mean, is that
they don't have to offer it, but if you call them up, they'll just give you a code, and you
6 months,
and you can migrate your phone number to another company in less than a week.
They unlock phones here.
Who unlocks phones here?
All of them.
Who?
I've had AT&T unlock a phone for me.
What, you could call them up and say, unlock this phone?
Yeah, once you're past your 2-year contract.
Really?
Yeah. And they give you this long code, and they say, look, if you screw it up, you're going to get it screwed up 3 times. The phone is bricked. So you have to be really careful. It makes you freaked out.
That's interesting. I didn't know that you could do that. I've taken it to independent cell phone sellers.
No,
they sell for all of them, and they have a
number.
little box, and they'll do it. But, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. So if you beg them.
You just have to ask. Nobody asks.
Huh. Fascinating. So, anything else to say about this? I think this is I think the government finally did the right thing. I hope that this isn't a cynical move on their part to win votes or perhaps make a deal. I hope they hold their own, and Judge Huvel sees the merit of this. I can't think of a better example of monopoly than these wireless carriers. In fact, I wish Congress would grow some cojones and start doing something. They keep making noise about doing something about ETFs. They do nothing. And these companies are it's among the worst. Aren't they? Am I wrong?
I think we concluded that
everybody
already,
hate their wireless company? All right.
Well, I think
who likes
to
AT&T?
sum up?
The worst is this chat room hates them too. So you're
the biggest
in good
problem.
company.
Yeah, the biggest problem, as far as I'm concerned, is the fact that there's no solid ground in terms of pricing. You go there and they say, well, we subsidize your phone and you get 2 years service. What's the value of 2 years of wireless service?
Right.
Nobody has any idea.
Thousands. Is
So you go and you get a $500 phone for $200 subsidized, and they end up charging you $1,000 for it because the rest of it is all buried inside that contract.
That's right.
And then this is why everything is going towards this subsidized model, because with uncertainty about pricing, they can charge anything they want. And they all do it, and there's really nobody's doing anything about it. There's no transparency. It's a big problem.
I'd like the government to answer your question, Jeff, do both with internet service providers, or if the phone company and the cable companies, and with these wireless providers, the same thing, which is foster competition by forcing these companies to allow other companies to use their networks, provide affordable ways for MVNOs to use their networks to create
the British model.
Yeah, to create virtual competition. The cable companies right now are not required to allow other companies to ride on their infrastructure. The phone companies are. I think we should make cable companies do that. We need more internet service providers. We need more wireless companies. That's how you get competition. That's how you get prices down. That's, in effect, how you create net neutrality, not by regulation, but by competition, don't you think?
Well, isn't that the white space's argument? That's the
Right.
argument that Google's made, is by taking the white space spectrum and making it Wi-Fi on steroids, that we would get competition that way. And that's what I wish we would have, but we don't. And, when Obama's going to give his job speech this week, I've been thinking about this. I really want, instead of a works progress administration, kind of a works broadband administration. We ought to be rethinking that as the growth of the country.
I'm going to get a little political just briefly. So people who hate politics...
Stand back.
I will hear about this every single time because they say, no, talk tech, you shouldn't talk politics. But I want to, because when John's here, I like to talk politics with John because we're such natural adversaries.
That's not true at all. We're actually on lockstep agreement with 99% of
That's probably true, actually. A friend of mine said, Obama's out, easily out. It's Rick Perry I'm asking you, in 2012, you picked, I think you did pretty well in the last election, picking a horse race.
Well, you want my quick take?
You knew McCain would run.
Oh, yeah. And I also picked Sarah Palin way before anyone even mentioned her.
So I'm curious what your take is on 2012. And here's why it's germane. I think you're right. I think this is politics, this T-Mobile lawsuit. And I think we're going to see more of this. And I think it does affect us. And I don't think we're seeing much impressive movement from the government on net neutrality, on deregulation, regulation rather, of the wireless industry. So what do you think, John?
I think both parties are trying to lose the election.
They're doing their best.
No, seriously.
I'm not kidding.
Because the Republicans want to run Rick Perry, who can't win, and the Democrats keep saying, no, run Romney, who can possibly
win. He could win, but they won't. The Republicans won't give him a nod.
They want to run somebody to lose, because everybody knows, and you can check this out as I go along and finally get my book out on the depression cycles. 2013 is going to be a huge collapse of the economy, and everybody in both parties knows it.
Years.
Yeah, 2013.
But the incumbent always loses if the economy tanks. The economy's not doing well. The incumbent is very vulnerable, and I think that's why the Republicans think they can run somebody as difficult to elect as Rick Perry because it's going to be a very difficult election
Perry's
for
background
President
is
Obama.
Until 1988, he was Gore's campaign manager.
What?
He was a He was a Democrat. He was a Democrat he was a Democrat all through the Reagan years.
What happened? He got religion?
Wait, now all of a sudden everybody's Reagan, 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 and this guy hated Reagan, and now he's a Republican out of the blue, and he's like big government Republican. He forced vaccinations to the kids, and I can go on for days. But go to the noagendashow.com to hear this crap.
Yeah, you talk about this all the time. Yeah, we should get back to it. But if you're right and the economy is going to tank in 2013, does any of this matter at all?
No, actually, the way I see it as a cyclicist, it doesn't matter what you do. So
period.
I don't really
Anytime.
I think that's
defeatist
or
it's a totally defeatist.
Where's your money, John?
Cyclicist.
John's a proud defeatist.
My money is short. Short
He's
the market.
been saying this for years.
I'm right. Look what's happening. It's been going downhill day by day.
All right, we're going to take a break. Now I'm really going to get upset because
cyclid. Somebody put I'm a cyclid.
You're a cyclid. Does that mean you don't?
Cyclicist.
Does that mean you reproduce without gender?
No, over and over again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's take a break. When we come back, you're not a Cylon. There's a big difference. When we come back, I want to talk about the San Francisco Police Department and perhaps the most appalling story in the history of technology. But first, you think that'll keep them listening?
What are you?
I got to be careful with the teases. If I tease too well, they'll sip right through the ad. They'll say, "Oh, I got to hear that story," and they'll skip the ad.
I think, well, yeah, that could
actually
happen.
The ad. Stay tuned for the most exciting ad we've ever done on This Week in Tech. I want to talk about Go to My PC briefly. Go to My PC is the remote access product we've talked about for so long from Cedric. I've got a 30-day trial for you. I'll tell you how to do that in a second. I think one of the cool things about Go to My PC is that you don't have to look at this guy, Mike Elgan. He is now the second person in a row on TWiT to not be using a laptop, but to using an iPad with a keyboard. He's bringing along. More and more people are doing this. And what's interesting, I think, is that he can use Go to My PC on that iPad to access a Windows or Mac computer at the office. So now you've got the missing link that turns your iPad into a full-blown computer. You could do anything you want to do, send and receive email, run any Windows or Mac program right from your iPad, access any network resource. You get the best of both worlds, that absolute lightweight freedom and all the power you need. Sets up in minutes, no IT support is required. Now you can access all your documents and applications on your home or office computer anywhere you go. Don't you love that? Try it free for 30 days. Visit gotomypc.com. Click the Try It Free button. The offer code is TWiT. If you haven't, and by the way, the app for the iPad free. A lot of companies will charge you for the service and then charge you more for the iPad app. That drives me crazy. This is free. You get the iPad app. In fact, you could actually sign up from the iPad app. So probably the easiest way to do this is if you've got an iPad, download the iPad app and then go into it and get the free trial. Just make sure you use the offer code TWiT when you do. Go to mypc.com. All right. I'm going to see if I can get the chronology of this story right because it's so dang complicated. CNET reported this. I think it was on Thursday. They said, whoa. A guy walks into a bar. An Apple employee walks into a bar, a tequila bar in San Francisco, leaves minus one thing, the next iPhone. We'll call it, for want of a better name,
coincidentally,
the iPhone 5. They say, CNET says, that San Francisco police are investigating, along with Apple, this missing iPhone. SF Weekly, which is a tabloid, free tabloid in San Francisco, but they're kind of muckrakers. They're kind of, you know,
they have a good quality. Their product is quite good.
Now that we have no actual newspapers in San Francisco, it's nice to have the Weekly, right?
Yeah.
You've seen what happened to your old paper, The Examiner, right, Jeff? It's sad.
Oh, it's not a paper anymore.
It's not. It's like
the truth is, I used to edit the Sunday paper, and I'd go out to brunch on Sundays. I already read the paper, so I'd take the New York Times. People would say, "Where'd you get that? The paper here sucks."
That's true. We still have the Chronicle, or the Comical, as some call it. But anyway, SF Weekly calls. They do the one thing that CNET, I guess, forgot to do. They call the San Francisco Police Department, and they say, "We don't know what the hell you're talking about. We're not doing any investigation." So they publish that story. Then it gets weird. Then it gets weird. San Francisco Police Department says, oh, next day, oh, wait a minute. Yes, we did. So long story short, it looks like what happened, according to the SFPD, is that 3 or 4 SFPD officers accompanied 2 Apple private security officials.
Posing as police.
Apparently posing as police to a man's home. Of course, they tracked the iPhone using GPS, they thought, to this home in San Francisco. Sergio Calderon, he's 22 years old. The SFPD says, we dispatched some plainclothes officers to accompany the Apple investigators to the person's home. They didn't go in. Apparently, according to Calderon, the Apple investigators, whether explicitly or by omission, inferred that they were SFPD, showed badges.
They probably had badges that little apple in the middle.
They had a little apple in the middle.
In fact, Apple Police. Apple Police, open the door.
And
very nice badges, to be sure.
And he said, I would never have let.
Tasteful.
He said, I would never have let them in if I had known they weren't police. He lets them in. They search his residence. He says they threaten him. They're saying, "Is everybody here legal?
Wow.
You could all be. You could be in deep trouble."
Worst of this.
That's the worst of it.
Really
assuming that Calderon's not making this up. Because this is all his.
What would be the point?
This is all his story. He says, I never possessed it. They found no iPhone. They found no trace of an iPhone. However, you've got to wonder, first of all, if these Apple they left a phone number. This actually confirms the story a little bit, because they left him a phone number. The guy said, and my name is Tony. If you find anything, please call me. Calderon gives the San Francisco Weekly Tony's card. They call the number. It turns out Tony is, in fact, an Apple employee, Anthony Colon. He is a former police officer who works at Apple.
He knows how to fake it.
Yeah, he looks just like a cop. Big, beefy, he's got a donut. I'm going to be in so much trouble the next time I go to San Francisco.
No, you're not. You think the San Francisco police are listening to this podcast?
Thank God they don't listen to TWiT.
No, you're just in more trouble at Apple, that's all.
No,
you can't get in more trouble at Apple.
He's already blackballed.
You can't get in trouble at Apple.
Problem.
So here's his LinkedIn profile, by the way, Anthony Colon. Calderon says, when they came to my house, they said they were SFPD. I thought they were SFPD. That's why I left them in. I would not have permitted the search if I had known these weren't police officers. So here's the question. SFPD denies it at first, then says, yeah, okay, maybe that happened. The SFPD says, Apple came to us saying they were looking for a lost item. Let me just ask you, if John C. Dvorak came to the SFPD and said, hey, somebody got my laptop, would you come with me to the guy's house? Would they accompany you to the guy's house?
Do you remember the recent stories where the guy had to post all that stuff on the internet?
He had to make a blog!
To even make a cop show up, and even though he had the guy dead to rights, he knew where he lived, and he had pictures.
They said, nah, we can't help you.
The answer to your question is no.
No, of course not. Apple, obviously.
We have that other story on the roundup, and I won't go too early. But a judge, in a case that Eileen found, where a woman was using an allegedly stolen laptop to do sex chat, and the sex chat was shared then with the authorities, that was viewed to be a violation of her privacy, even though it was a stolen laptop. And Apple law, what amazes me about this story.
They're suing, by the way, in that case. The couple that was chatting sex. Well, it's a longer story than that, because she didn't know it was stolen. She bought it in a parking lot.
She bought a laptop for $60.
It was a school laptop. The school was monitoring the laptop with LoJack. Now they're suing the LoJack folks because LoJack operatives were watching these guys have this sex chat. They go, hey, have you seen this? Look at these guys. They're chatting. And it wasn't,
come on, gather around.
I mean, it was her and her boyfriend. It wasn't like some illicit, sex chat. But they spied it. So I think they have a pretty good lawsuit against LoJack.
So I didn't mean to go off on the detour there. But, just as we're all feeling warm and gushy for Apple because of God bless Steve Jobs, they come back and just show us they're still
Apple.
But the bigger story here, I had an argument with Dan Gilmore about this on Google Plus, and I love Dan Gilmore. He's an awesome
sweetheart of a guy,
defending journalism and so on. But he was, there's a lot of blame about Apple on this, and there's some blame to go around. But this is really about police misconduct.
Absolutely.
To request the participation in an illegal search is constitutionally protected free speech.
Not an illegal search if you allow the person to come in.
But the request
but if you misrepresent it that we're the police. Now, by the way, it's important to say that he could still say no to the police. He could say, where's your search warrant?
Exactly.
But he was trying to cooperate.
Which is, by the way, the Android users out there should know there's a thing called, there's an Android recorder. end recorder or something like that. It's quite good because you can turn off your phone and have this thing running constantly and put it in your pocket, and it does a great job of picking up everything.
So what you should say is, oh, wait a minute, my phone, hold on, let me turn off my phone
and
so you can conduct your search.
And so you can get,
but you're right, Mike. The illegality here is, and we don't know what happened because we only have Calderon.
It's illegal.
But it's illegal to say, we're police, let us in.
I'm assuming they didn't.
I'm assuming they did.
I don't understand why they did. Why the police would do this, even for Apple. I mean, it's a crazy.
That's why I assume they didn't.
But isn't this exactly what happened in the Gizmodo case?
But they went with them.
This is exactly what happened in the Gizmodo case. They were able to get a five law enforcement agency group to investigate Gizmodo, to search Brian Lam's house.
Yeah, but I mean, there was a formal complaint.
Yeah, but it's all for a stolen phone. For crying out loud, if somebody steals my phone.
A lost phone.
Yeah, not even a stolen. A lost phone.
A lost item. We don't even know which phone it is. Is it the iPhone 5? Is it the updated iPhone, low-cost iPhone 4? Is it?
There's apparently.
I wish Apple would lose their upcoming TV in a bar.
I think Apple needs to stop drinking.
No more tequila bars for you.
You're always in bars.
Tequila makes my phone fall off. But apparently there isn't any phone because they never found the phone.
That's the part of the story that baffles me, because there was a GSM signal coming in somehow, or GPS signal, I'm sorry, coming in, and it was like they triangulated to this guy's house. The guy was an Apple guy, so he must have had the phone and turned it off. And of course, you can't. What are you going to do? Tear the guy's place apart to find the phone? He probably has a nice little place to conceal it.
They apparently searched his computers.
Hollow book. Hey, something
Hollow
like that.
book. That's good. I usually keep my drugs in a coffee can in the freezer.
Yeah, it's an old theory.
And if you do your phone like that, it'll actually preserve the battery.
It will keep the battery. Well, the funny thing is, and this is the thing that really gets me, they do all of this. This phone is going to be released in a month.
Yeah.
Who cares?
They care.
Apparently.
Tremendously.
But really.
Look what happened last time. I mean,
I agree, but really, this
we
phone.
We already have the pictures and all the accessories that go with the upcoming iPhone.
It's
we
just
know
a
pretty
freaking
much.
Phone. It'll be out in a month.
They even published the icon, looking like the next iPhone in what was it? The last update of iOS.
Right.
And you saw how it looked exactly like the Samsung Galaxy S2.
I think that if you're an Apple fan, what you should take this as is the very good news that Tim Cook is just as much of a jerk as Steve Jobs. we can say Apple is in good hands.
The legal department just
Yeah,
doing
I'm
it
sure
on their
it is.
own. I don't even know Tim Cook knew this happened.
To stir up.
That's just Apple's way of doing things.
Steve would have known.
Oh yeah,
Steve would have known.
Steve would have been there.
Do we know what happened to the guy who was supposed to have the phone and who lost it? Is he like?
Okay, so here's no
word
word on the employee. We do know the employee who lost it last time.
Yeah, right.
And I think he did not lose his job. He kept his job.
He's working in the Siberia store.
In the mail room. Maybe the whole thing's a scam, a publicity stunt.
Yeah, well, that's what they said last time for the Gizmodo thing, except that the two guys who got the phone are now being prosecuted.
Well, they can't pull back once they get if the scam goes too far and law enforcement is involved, then you're filing a false police report. So you got to let the thing finish up. The police go through on their merry way, and then later you say, okay, we're sorry that happened. Here's some money. Don't let it bother you. Don't.
Declan McCullough and Greg Sandoval writing for CNET have the official statement from the SFPD. Troy Dangerfield, that's a great name for a police department spokesman. Troy Dangerfield sent out a press release saying the SFPD had been involved in a consensual search.
Ooh, it sounds so exciting.
Like the TSA.
A search between two adults. And San Francisco, this is the press release, San Francisco police assist Apple security with their lost property investigation. I wish they'd assist the rest of us. No official report of the lost item was made.
Eileen's lost a few phones.
That's interesting.
Yeah, Eileen.
Just
Where's
one.
I wish somebody had searched for my Droid X.
Just one.
You lost your Droid X?
No.
That wasn't the one that I lost.
A friend that I lent it to lost it.
I lost my own Nexus S.
You lost a Nexus S like this one, the one I just found on the floor outside?
It can't be here because it's somewhere in San Antonio right now. It was in Southwest.
Thought I had her there.
Apple, I don't even want to do a story on the Apple iPhone
story.
launch. I'm done on this. Mobile patent threats from OpenWave and Wyland. Who cares? Apple wins German injunction What is with the Germans, Jeff Jarvis?
You will have no Galaxy Tab?
This is Godwin's Law in reverse. Apple has a German injunction against the Galaxy Tab 7.7. It was going to be announced and shown at IFA, which is the big German consumer electronics show going on right now. Nope, don't get to show it because...
Actually, they announced it. They showed it at the press conference.
But it's not on the show floor.
Tons of friends of mine and colleagues got to try it out. But on what was the first or second day of the show, police descended upon the Samsung booth and said, you have to take these away and take the signs down.
San Francisco police.
No, Jeff. This wasn't SFPD.
It was the Dusseldorf Regional Court.
And I mean, all based on that ruling that says that if you do a tablet that looks like a tablet, then it's infringing on the iPad.
Yeah.
Because it's
Does this look like an iPad?
Yeah, it's solely based on looks.
Yeah, but this doesn't look like an iPad.
It doesn't at all.
Not in the least.
But there's no downside for Apple to do this. They get publicity.
Right.
Sure.
They get interference with a competitor. Maybe they'll win something in the courts. It's all it's all gravy for Apple.
Apple doesn't even want to do a 7-inch, right? I mean, as far as
we
know.
Steve said that
you couldn't
do anything really worthwhile with.
Well, let's talk about MG Siegler. Boy, did he get a scoop. MG Siegler at TechCrunch says the Amazon Kindle tablet is very real. I've seen it. I've played with it. Now, that's a hell of a scoop.
It is.
He says it'll be called the Amazon Kindle. It's 7-inch capacitive touch screen. It runs Android, but no Android you've ever seen before because Amazon has completely redesigned the user interface.
There are no buttons.
There are no buttons.
There's no Google Apps. There's no Google Marketplace. There's no Google anywhere.
If apparently Google isn't involved in this at all, they just took the open source Android and mucked with it. He says it looks a little bit like a BlackBerry Playbook in terms of form factor, which actually is what that Samsung looks like as well. 7-inch tablets seem to be all kind of similar.
And even as we speak, Berlin police are flying to Seattle to, well, you know.
It's multi-touch, but he says he thinks it's two-finger multi-touch, which is a little different than the Apple iPad.
I've heard that rumor elsewhere, and this all seems very credible to me because Amazon doesn't want to be Sony. They want to be Gillette. They want to sell. They want a device that's designed for buying stuff on Amazon.com. That's what they want.
Well, and that's clearly what this is.
Clearly, and essentially what they've done is they take the Kindle thing and they've extended it to movies, music, all kinds of stuff, and also optimized it for the store. I think this is totally legit, and it makes a lot of sense.
And here's the value proposition. According to MG, $250 for a 7-inch, and you get free Amazon Prime, which is an $80 value. That means now I'm a Prime member, and I think Amazon Prime is the best marketing thing I've ever heard of in my life.
Amen.
Yeah, I love the free shipping.
Yeah, because it's $89. You pay them for the privilege of having 2-day shipping for free. And it means that you just buy everything from Amazon.
Yeah.
Just from now on.
So here's a prediction.
No, it's a great gimmick.
Here's a prediction. I predict within 2 years they're going to flip it. Instead of free Amazon Prime with a $250 Kindle, you're going to get a free Kindle
with Amazon
Prime because the Moore's law is going to bring the costs down, and this is a spectacularly subsidizable device. Its entire function is to get you to spend money on Amazon. I mean,
it's a doorway to Amazon.
Exactly. It's free shipping for electronic media.
Well, the amazing thing about this, you've got Chicago Tribune and Philadelphia Inquirer both considering trying to sell Amazon tablets, which is insane because how much do you really use a newspaper? But Amazon, you really know the lifetime value, net future value of a customer, and you can really account for the subsidy.
Right. He says the key for Amazon is just how deeply integrated all of their services are. Amazon's content store is always just one click away. The book reader is a Kindle app. The music player is Amazon's cloud player. The movie player is Amazon's instant video player. The app store is Amazon's app store. I mean, it's right there, isn't it? This is basically a way to remove money from my wallet.
And it reduces the cost of Prime. Now that it's so easy to order digital instead of actual all the time, you're reducing the shipping costs and the inventory costs and all this huge cost structure for Amazon. It's brilliant. The more they can get us to do this, the better. And again, even if you don't get this, you'll still do the same things on your iPad.
Do you think, John, this is a good idea? Do you think this is? John's the naysayer. We're saying this is it. They're going to win. It's a huge.
We're counting on you to say nay.
I think it's great.
Hey. Oh, shoot.
Amazon.
My wife,
guy's
this
a
morning, my
genius.
wife was saying, every
Except
once in a
when he does all
while,
this-
John should say something's great.
I do say so. If you actually paid attention, I say more things are great. I rarely am critical.
What?
Come on.
What?
It's all been recorded. You know that, right?
What?
You're on the air. You're
By the way, I think that Bezos is a little wacky with his rocket ship
The rocket,
thing.
but
Oh, yeah, he had to destroy it,
Yeah,
right?
one
'Cause it went
blew
off
up
course.
on him. You know, this has been a theme.
Really?
amongst
Do you think it's a
real
good
rich
idea to have-
guys They make billions of dollars. And
So
the next
they
thing you
build
know,
submarines
they're
or
building
rockets.
rockets.
what would you do with billions of dollars? I would build rockets. I would.
I think I'd relax a little bit.
I don't know.
Oh, no. You
don't
do
wanna
something-
build a
You do
rocket.
something wacky.
I'd rather buy
here's
a
my
castle
issue
in
with this.
Ireland or
Here's
something. and
here's
build
my
it.
issue with this. This rocket went up. As with all rockets, there's a self-destruct button in case it goes off course because you don't want to hit civilians. You know,
It was
kind
at
of
42,000 feet. when they
plow
had
into
to blow it up.
Phoenix, Arizona. But do you really want the guy who's got the finger on the button to self-destruct this thing be the guy who paid for it, Jeff Bezos? Wouldn't you want some engineer who's just a robot?
More objective?
More objective.
Flip it around. If I paid for it, I would want my finger on the button.
Well, he pushed the button. Good on him. He pushed the button.
But
The-
it
the-
has to
like
be
an old
said, though,
martini shaker.
The rocket.
it does. It looks like something out of the day the Earth stood still.
Yeah.
The first CEO of Apple was this same guy, Scott.
Michael? Oh, Mike Scott.
Scott, yeah, he
Yeah.
became a rocketeer.
Right.
You know, and then eventually I think he spent all his money on rockets. But all these guys, Paul Allen's a rocket guy.
Is he?
He's the one who sponsors the Rutan.
X-Space?
The one that actually got up and came back.
I like that.
With some
Elon
guy in
Musk.
it. Some maniac was in the damn thing.
Elon Musk getting a lot of heat right now because he has an 8 RV camp at Burning Man with personal chefs, guys
Is
changing.
it Butler?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's apparently, there's a whole article of how Burning Man has just jumped the shark.
Isn't
Oh, it
Burning
jumped
Man
the
about
shark a while
self-reliance?
Yeah, apparently
and, you know,
not.
This is supposed to be about art.
In fact, they
Art
asked
things.
Harvey, the guy in charge of Burning Man, they said, well, what is this what you mean? He said, well, no, we have radical inclusion. That means even including very rich people who want to drive in there. You can apparently now rent an RV. Like there's a company that does this, and they will give you the luxury Burning Man experience.
If you come into Burning Man on a rocket, you really win.
Yes.
This president coming in on a chopper.
Didn't Larry Page come in a chopper once? I think so.
Well, I'll tell you this: during Burning Man, all the people at Google are off. The Burning Man is the Google event. They all go. They make a point of it, and the company's basically shut down for that week.
Have you guys been?
No.
I was at the first Burning Man.
On the beach, on Ocean Beach in San
Yeah, I was
Francisco.
driving by. I got out. There's
Larry
a guy,
Harvey lights
They're
a thing.
burning off something. I said, "Well, it's a big bonfire. I'm surprised they get away with that." And I took off. That was the end of it.
John C. Dvorak, I was at the first Burning Man.
I was there when I was a
started.
kid. It was in 1942.
Woodstock.
We burned a real
Woodstock.
man.
I think it was 86, actually. The first Kindle will be the color Kindle, this new Android Kindle, Wi-Fi only. Apparently, they are working to make 3G versions, but they won't be 3G right away. MG says he doesn't know what the battery life is like. He says the back of the device is rubbery.
No camera.
Wow, that's
No camera, micro USB port.
By the way, that rubbery coating,
I love that.
wait until 10 years down the road. I've got some old devices that had that coating on it, and the stuff turns into some weird goo because of the ozone.
Ooh.
Have you run into this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sticky old
Yeah,
products.
yeah.
And it's just like, I ran into one of my Sony DAT recorders had that crap on it. And I go, I say, well, what the hell happened to my recorder? Somebody must have spilled orange juice on
gooey.
it.
Yeah,
Because it was all gooey and sticky.
That's
And
a feature.
Not my
That's a
new-
feature. They don't want you hanging onto this thing for 10 years.
I'm telling you, this is a bad...
2 years
This
is
coating
max.
stinks.
Yeah.
Well, who keeps this stuff for 10 years?
A DAT recorder?
What are you doing with a DAT recorder?
I record DATs.
What about
That's
nice.
with tape. One thing that didn't really come out in any of the stories covering the new Kindle, the upcoming Kindle, is that it sort of signifies the fact that Amazon is going to move into serious content as opposed to just books. Because, I mean, if it's just to read books, all you need is what...
You don't need it.
You don't need it. You need what the Kindle is today.
You need color and you
How much
need a
does it
fast
cost?
screen.
129,
113 bucks subsidized.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, Bezos is a genius. He is a visionary, and I don't think he's appreciated as such. He's got, I mean, think of how compelling that is. You're sitting there and you read a movie review, So you just watch the movie right there. I mean, it's, you know, if
point
it's
of access. It's everything.
And look at how simple they've made it on the Kindle with you know, like included the 3G that you don't really pay for. That's included in the device.
Look at how they market the Kindle.
Yeah.
You go to the homepage and it's got the prime position every time you go to the Amazon.com homepage.
Remember when the iPad was launched? When some of us said, me included, I think it's the end of the road for the Kindle. Who's going to buy a Kindle when for $200 more?
I thought so.
Yeah, I thought so too. And you know, Jeff Bezos is still laughing.
Boy, were we wrong, huh? Is it because they have this prominent positioning right on the front page of the best commerce site in the world?
It helps.
They chip away at you.
It's just so easy. There was a book the Times reviewed today about A&P as the big disruptor. And I thought, wow, this sounds really good. I ordered the book, and bingo, 30 seconds later, it's there, it's done. As a writer, I wrote a piece for Wired Germany on Gutenberg as the original technology entrepreneur. I couldn't sell it to a magazine here, and I thought, screw it, I'm going to put it in as a Kindle single. And I'll sell it for 99 cents. And it's just become so fluid and easy now. Content becomes far less sludgy.
Remember when Jerry Purnell was on, John, and he was talking about how well his daughter had done selling ebooks, and you were talking about getting your old columns compiled? And
yeah.
Did you do that?
It's one of my many projects.
You were ready to put those columns together and sell them on the Kindle?
I'd buy them.
It's coming any minute.
I would too. The old InfoWorld columns, wouldn't that be great?
Absolutely.
No, I think so. I think there's a market for the good old days.
People love reading old crap.
Old crap that costs
John,
you nothing.
What was the first technology piece you ever wrote?
I wrote a piece in 1979 for InfoWorld on the Fortune computer.
Fortune, I remember that.
Yeah, I broke that story.
We were going to buy one. It was a multi-user computer. Yeah, I was going to buy one.
It was a Unix machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it came and went.
Yeah.
Wait. John, did you like it or not at the time? Were you nasty then?
Oh, he was a nice guy then.
No, I was the same as I've always been. That's the first technology piece. I mean, I used to write for the college newspaper and the high school news.
He was a wine writer, though, in the early days.
I also did some wine writing in the early 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a hard time imagining the fact
30s,
that there was a pre-cranky Dvorak.
Pre-cranky
There was no pre-cranky Dvorak. I know. I've worked with him
I
for
make
years.
the big bucks by being cranky.
You
not
started
like
in 70,
you.
in
You're the nice guy.
79 was your first?
First technology article.
I was just shortly thereafter. I think my first was, I wrote an article for Byte magazine. There was a review of some Atari software in like the early 80s. So, boy, that's interesting. How'd you get so far ahead of me? Because you're a good writer, that's why.
Because you were doing radio.
Oh, radio.
And I was
That's
not
going to
doing
go
radio.
places. By the way, you're a ham.
Yes, I am a ham.
And I don't know if you can go over there and you can play with our radios. We got some nice radios over there. Log on or whatever the kids call that today.
KJ6 LNG, which is Kevin Johnson, liquid natural gas. Exactly.
And I'm Whiskey 6 Whiskey Tango.
You paid money for your
I paid $29.95, baby.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's cheap.
Oh, I kind of like mine.
I like yours. Liquid natural gas. I can remember that.
Yeah.
How much time do you spend on that? I mean,
0.
But if all hell breaks loose,
I'm ready.
That's right.
It's only for emergencies.
We have the state-of-the-art ham system. I mean, this is a state-of-the-art thing over here.
I saw the presentation.
It's amazing.
No, you had some guys help you out.
I didn't do diddly-do.
Right, and they hooked the thing up, and now you got like a #1 rig
I don't know
in
what to
Sonoma
do with
County.
it. Yeah,
Get on it and do some CQ.
I did actually. I've done one.
You get anybody say hi?
Yeah, I've done one. But then there's so much RF noise coming out of this building. Who'd have thunk it? That I can't actually use it.
Really? Huh.
Really?
Yeah. Who'd have thunk it? Do you see the big AM transmitter, though? The Collins transmitter? Is that a beauty?
That's the state of the art.
When the world comes near an end, you can crank that baby back up, and we'll be on the air.
It's your Wolfman Jack calling at you at the end of the world.
Well, what I'd like to see the hams do, and I'll talk to you about this sometime.
Brought to you by Squarespace.
Which is to modernize what they can do. In other words, some wideband stuff, some high speed.
They're starting to do spread spectrum. There actually there are very sophisticated hams that were doing exactly that out there. Before there were cell phones. Yeah, legally. Before there were cell phones, they were doing auto patch, where you would use your handy-talkie to get to a repeater, who the guy would then make a phone call for you. I mean, it was these guys have been around for a long time doing some amazing things, and they're still, believe it or not, doing cutting-edge stuff, I think.
Well, PSK 31 apparently is something I should look into.
Yes, and there's a lot of data stuff. PSK 31.
Yeah, I also want to get a big dish.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big giant one.
Like a 10
Because they have this for whatever it's called, this HD that now comes down the big
really?
pipes. Yeah.
Is it free?
And it's all free, and you can buy. What's cool about
you're watching Colombian soccer games?
What's cool about a big dish is that you can get HBO by the minute. So there's a bunch of services out there. You can just
That's a great service.
You sign up and you
I'd
say,
like to buy 60 minutes of Mad Men.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can be, and they'll give you boom, all of a sudden your little converter thing turns on, and you watch for 60 minutes, and it turns off. And you pay for that instead of paying these ludicrous hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month for the
more
show.
bundling.
Right.
Yeah. So
this is how the Minitel worked, getting going full circle by the minute. Do you remember? When did they stop doing this? Where in Europe you'd go and you'd put a coin in and the phone would work, and then in your home, and there was a meter. Remember that? It was a meter on the phone. No,
I've never seen that. I've actually seen that in like B&Bs and
maybe it was just breakfast. No, I was in houses.
Is this the same place that had the vibrating bed?
Magic fingers, baby. Hey, speaking of magic, I got the magic in web design here. We're going to take a break, come back with more with John C. Dvorak, Mike Elgan, Cedric Ingrand from TCI, not TF1.
LCI.
LCI. What are they related?
The news channel, sure. We're 100% owned by TF1, so there's a...
So that's Telefrance.
Yes.
And then LCI
means La Chaîne Info, which means the news channel.
It's like the CNN of France.
There you go.
Yeah. Or say on. Sort of. I don't know. Anyway, it's great to have you, Cedric. Cedric just did a story on us for Planet Credit, his show on
we do bi-yearly stories. We come every 2 years and see how you're doing.
5 years ago you came here.
And, second floor of the small TWiT cottage. And you were alone, editing your own shows and saying, maybe I'm going to get an intern. And now you have, 16 people.
Come a long way, baby. There's more people in the audience.
You're becoming a square.
Look at this. How many? Where are you all from? We got about 20 people, 30 people in the audience today. Costa Mesa, Orange County, Canada. Where in Canada?
Calgary, but Montreal.
Calgary, Montreal. He's a little confused. Where?
Switzerland. Oh crap!
Isn't that great? What, you don't like the Swiss?
I love the Swiss, but I mean, it's even further away than I came from.
Oh, crap. He's from Switzerland.
No.
I've been dodging those guys for years. Where in Switzerland are you from? Geneva. I've heard of that. Is that spelled with a G or a J? Because I have a watch where it's spelled with a J. I think there's something wrong.
That you bought in Shenzhen with an S.
I did.
Yeah.
We'll be back with more. A great panel. John's wandered off as usual. Be careful, because when John wanders, he takes things. He's looking for something. What did you find over there? I want to talk a little bit about Squarespace.com, the secret behind exceptional websites. We use Squarespace for our Inside TWiT blog, and I'm so impressed. That thing never goes down. All of you go to inside.twit.tv. You cannot bring that site down. And that just speaks to their hosting, but Squarespace is more than just the best web hosting in the world. It's also the best content management software running on top of that. And why do you want to do that? Well, they keep it up to date. Automatic updates, automatic security fixes. It's the best content management software out there. It's really spectacular. And it has all the features you're looking for. You can import from the major APIs, movable type, WordPress, TypePad, and Blogger. But you're not just importing the posts. You're getting all the links, all the images, all the comments. Your SEO is preserved. The links are actually not even changed. And you can export it back out, so you're never trapped. Their iPhone and iPad app is spectacular. What a great way to not only post, but moderate comments, even look at your statistics. And boy, do they have a stats package. You can tell exactly what people are doing when they visit your site. All the links. The SEO is fantastic. They have site maps, all the stuff that you need to get the best possible Google rankings. And this is all automatic. If you want to include your social content, like your Twitter or your Flickr or your Facebook, it's all easy to do, just like the rest of the design tools. They're point and click, drag and drop. Couldn't be easier. Twitter, look at that. In fact, even just any arbitrary RSS. But I'm just scratching the surface. The best thing to do is to go to squarespace.com right now. And you see that green button? You can try it free. You don't need a credit card. You don't need an offer code. You just press that button. You need 3 things: a name for your site, a password, and your email address. And for the next 2 weeks, you get a full, complete trial of Squarespace. Nothing is, inhibited or no watermarks. You get the full site. And this is the best way to see if this is right for you. This is what I want you to do. Now, if you decide to buy, I do encourage you to use our TWiT offer code, which is TWiT9, TWiT 9, because they'll take 10% off for the first 6 months of your site. So that's worthwhile. Sites start as little as $12 a month. That's hosting and the best software out there. Squarespace. These are great guys. They do a great product. It's a secret behind exceptional websites. And I just looked at the numbers. They are our #1 advertiser now on TWiT. So we're very happy to have them along. They keep this show on the road. Thank you, Squarespace. And if you want to support TWiT, I'd really appreciate it if you visit squarespace.com and give it a try today. Oh.
Every time I get up, the dog sits in my chair.
He likes it. Or do you have meat in your pocket?
I do. I always carry meat.
You have a steak in your pocket.
You have 13 of those bouncy balls back there.
We do. Did you count them?
Yeah.
You really did?
Yeah.
It was my thought that when we had an audience come here that they would like to sit on the same kind of ball I sit on.
Yeah, really?
Not a one of them.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Not a one of them.
Look at the comfy chairs over there. They're sitting
They're sitting in, and then I also got 2 ginormous bean bags. Those Sumo, have you seen the Sumo Beanbags?
No.
Oh my God, these are so great, but they're so big. Well, I think the real reason is that they're embarrassed. Because it's like you're sleeping during the show. It's very comfy.
In the beanbag or the
No, it's like a giant nest. We have the, which one do we have? The Sumo, he sent us the Titan. That's what we have. We have 2 Sumo Titans. These are the world's largest beanbags.
Well, that'd be fun.
They're so comfy. Well, you want to try it? Is somebody using it? Yeah, they see people looking back there.
I think the dog is using it.
The dog? No, we don't let the dog in the Titan. We have a micro suede one and we have a corduroy one, and they are so comfortable. I often find our staff napping in them.
Well, they probably fall asleep.
They fall right asleep. They're very comfortable.
I want to see Dvorak in one.
Yeah, okay.
Chad's going to go get one.
No, I'm not going to.
You can do the rest of the show from the beanbag.
I'm going to be ridiculed.
Well, it's actually hard to get out of.
It's hard. Help me! I'm stuck in the beanbag chair.
I've fallen. I can't get up. Like a turtle.
Like an AT&T contract.
Apple. Is this an admit? There's an early termination fee for that beanbag. You want out? It'll cost you $350.
Elgan's on a roll.
There it is. Look at this.
Wow. That thing is way too big.
Hey, don't hit me.
Sit in it. Sit
You
in it. Come on.
knocked Jeff over.
I want somebody to sit in it. Who wants to be a volunteer?
Hey.
Whoa!
Oh,
Jeff, they knocked you over.
Well, at least the wine didn't go flying.
I'm saving that wine glass.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? They're so comfy. I really want to thank the folks at. I've been meaning to plug this from this.
I like the idea of the wine glass being in front of Jeff. It's kind of a virtual prop.
Yeah, he can drink.
Yeah.
Drink if you want to. Drink them if you got them. Moving along. Let's talk about Mike Arrington.
Why?
I think, here's my theory. So Mike Arrington sold TechCrunch. TechCrunch is a great tech blog. I mean, I read it religiously. It's the place where this M.G. Siegler article we just talked about. I mean, these guys get great scoops.
Yeah,
and Mike Arrington is a character. He's really adept at writing posts that just, for me, again, my head turns red and steam comes out of my ears. Or you go, wow, I can't believe he said that. Now, when AOL bought him, I thought this is a mismatch. And
were you talking about the screw you, Mike Arrington?
that one, the guy I said screw you to. But I like Mike. We've talked since then. I think Mike's great. He's funny. I saw him at food camp. He says, I don't know. Should I shake your hand? I don't know. Are you going to hit me? I said, no, Mike.
You should have hit him. You had your chance.
Wham! No, I think I have nothing against Mike Arrington, and I was watching with great interest because I thought there's no way Mike Arrington and Ariana Huffington are going to get along or stop.
They're not. They ousted him and put him in a new job.
That's what's interesting. Normally this is what happens, right, Jeff? You acquire a company and then there's a deal that says you have to work for us for 3 years or some period. Reasonably, because TechCrunch is Mike Arrington.
And non-compete and all that.
And non-compete. I think from day one, Mike Arrington did everything he could to get fired. What does he do? He says the #1 property at AOL is Engadget. He says, Engadget, these guys are terrible. They're not journalists. This is a crap blog. I mean, he's
got
slamming
style.
them.
That guy.
He's got style. Then what does he do to get fired? He did something else. It was.
I understand he walked around the office naked for one day.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Really? Are you kidding?
Gone.
think he was trying to save his job.
I'm just kidding. Of course, it's possible.
Oh, I know. They had an AOL company memo that was circulated. It said, don't, whatever you do, this is our new AOL, some AOL chat service. And immediately he publishes it. He's just like, of course I'm going to publish this. I'm TechCrunch, to prove his independence. But I think also he's trying to get out of there.
Sure.
So finally, then he announces, I'm going to invest in the company's recovery.
Yeah, but the trouble is he has an earn-out clause in his contract in the sale of TechCrunch. So there's a lot of money to be lost for him if he doesn't go up to the end of whatever the contract says.
Of course. So what he wants to do is get fired.
Yeah, there's probably some way.
He wants AOL to say, "Hey, Mike, take the money and run," because you're a
Leo, if that were the case, then why would AOL have been a co-investor in the new fund?
And that's what's I agree, and this is what's kind of interesting.
And he can still write for the site. I mean, what has really changed? I mean, he can't get paid for his posts.
He's no longer managing editor.
Well, even that, I mean, it's still confused, I think, as to whether or not he's fired or not from Huffington Post and AOL. But he does have a fund. And full disclosure is, he called me today and I talked to him, but just kind of, he calls me on journalistic stuff, and I didn't learn anything specific about this. But, there's a fund here that AOL is invested in, along with a lot of top VC firms.
They're like, they put half the money in.
Yeah.
They got like 20 million in there.
That's not your kiss-off. That ain't your kiss-off. It's put money into invest in the guy.
So the fund is Crunch Fund. It's a $20 million investment fund in...
Pad. Yeah, I hope it does better than the tablet.
The Juju. And, by the way, this is exactly what you're not supposed to do. He's investing in the companies he covers. He says, well, I won't write about them. Or I don't know. He's got some.
It's corrupt.
He's saying, you know what? His first response to this a couple of months ago was, all journalists are corrupt. At least you know I'm corrupt. Or at least.
Is that what he said?
He said everybody has a reason. They're sleeping with somebody, or everybody has conflict of interest. With me, Now, of course, by the way, when he said they're married to, it was a direct prod at Kara Swisher, who is at All Things Digital, is in fact married to a high-level Google executive. But Kara discloses, but it was clearly aimed at her. And that's
Leo, the thing about TechCrunch is, let's not forget where it started. I mean, Arrington's Arrington, and Arrington can be difficult, even more than John C. Dvorak. But he started by being a venture investor who happened to write a blog about the firms for a reason. And though it became more of a media property, and though it shifted, and though it works for Ariana, and she wants to be journalistic and all that, in terms of where Arrington started, where he is now is no different.
But now he's investing. But he has.
But he was before.
But he has.
I think Jarvis is right.
He temporarily divested. By the way, remember this. For several years, he said, "I'm divesting."
Because he wasn't successful.
Jeff wrote a brilliant post on Google Plus about what is journalism, and everybody's got to read this. It's one of the most interesting things I've read there for a long time. But I'm going to disagree with something, and I think I'm really in the minority on this, which is that I don't think blogging is journalism. I think there should be a much greater effort to separate journalism from blogging. I think blogging is water cooler conversation. If you, as an analogy, if you go back to a time when we all understood journalism better, in 1960 or something like that, you'd read the paper, you'd have experiences, you'd go to work, and you chit-chat about what you read and what you did. And that's really what blogging should be. The problem is that the public is confused about it. The public thinks that blogs are journalism.
I think blogs are journalism.
But they shouldn't be.
I don't think that's true.
There's a spectrum of what's actually published on blogs. Everything from something that's a lot like journalism or even better than journalism. The majority of it is just people just spouting off on random things.
Well, why can't you call it journalism?
Like
because
what we're doing right now.
Exactly. This is a blog. We're talking about journalism, which is one of the things that.
But you're adding context. You're adding value to it. You're adding all kinds of.
Maybe.
Well, but if we were saying something about, let's say, AT&T, and I were a major, I had millions of dollars invested in AT&T, it would behoove me to disclose that, yes, and Mike does that. And then I guess what you're saying is trust the audience to say, oh, well, we have to take this with a grain of salt.
Well, there was one great post. Yeah, in response to my post on Google Plus, a guy named, I think, Sass, wrote a good post saying that you shouldn't trust anyone. journalist or anyone else.
That's Mike's position.
But see, when I read the New York, I was going to say the Wall Street Journal. When I read the New York Times,
were you going to say the Wall Street Journal?
Good last minute correction.
You know, they snoop on phones and stuff like that. Anyway, so if I read a newspaper like the New York Times, and I have certain expectations about how they source the information. And, you know, they make mistakes like everybody else. But, you know, they're trying to live up to an ideal, which you mentioned, Jeff, in your piece, of journalism and journalistic integrity and so on. If they find somebody who's crossed the line, they go after them and all that kind of stuff. I expect that when I read the New York Times. When I go to a blog, I shouldn't expect that. Some people expect, you know, I do both. I do journalism and I also do blogging. And I really switch hats there. I mean, when I'm doing journalism, I'm like, you know, I have to do, there's a long list of things that I do because this is journalism. And when I go blog, I'm just spouting off about stuff, and the people reading my blog shouldn't
You have a guilty conscience about your blogging is what you're really saying.
Exactly. But in addition to that, I really don't want people to think that, you know, that I've explored every angle,
But Mike, you're sitting next to a
reading
great example of combination. John C. Dvorak gives me reporting, gives me scoops, gives me information, but also gives me his opinion and his perspective, which I value in that. Right, John?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I just want to point out that Jeff Jarvis looks like the disembodied head in a Disney ride, temporarily.
I know.
Not in the close-up, but just floating here.
Picture. Yeah. It's like, what the heck? We've got a ghost here. Is it the ghost of Christmas past?
And I think it's frozen, too. The ghost is...
And look, it's frozen.
Just as you say that, I froze.
There are no
Eileen, reset me, please.
There are no windows and there are no doors.
How do you remember that?
He goes on that ride every time he's in LA.
I love that ride. It's my favorite ride.
It's funny how most of the people I met in San Francisco this week were willing to talk about the Michael Arrington story, but not in the angle of conflicts of interest, or is it can he still be a blogger or a journalist? No. Most of these I talked to, which shall remain nameless, were, you know, like web entrepreneurs, and most of them said, would you like to have Mike Arrington as an investor?
Exactly. Oh, scary. That's scarier than Jeff's head.
Because he's super smart, but he's also super inflammatory.
Exactly.
So, right. Yeah.
Well, you know, it'll be interesting to see how this works out.
Well, of course, you take money from Mike Arrington because you're hoping what? He will write about you.
Exactly.
And therein lies the problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem and not a problem. I mean, the way I see it, everything should be disclosed to some, you know, to the most that you can disclose without boring people stiff, and just let people. I think the public needs to be more responsible.
Well, I do think you're right. We're entering an age now
they get suckered in
where
by the
notion of
stuff.
the impartial journalist is pretty much dead.
Yep.
The Times is it.
You know, entering an age used to be, before my time, by the way, in the 1800s, the papers used to be very partisan. There used to be the
yellow
Santa
journalism.
No, before that, it was the Santa Rosa Democrat.
Right.
It was the such and such. The paper was a Democrat paper in town. It was a Republican
they
paper.
were broadsheets.
And they would go after each
polemic.
other. Yeah. Now, then they came up with the Columbia...
So, Jeff, you're the professor of journalism. How did this happen that we got this notion of the journalist as the... you know, independent reporter of facts? Is that pretty recent?
Yeah, it is very recent. It's the last half century or so, and it came when TV killed the second, third, the Democrat-Republican papers. You ended up with one paper. That paper had to serve all. It was a market decision to serve everybody. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, TV, of course, isn't really news.
Right.
It's its own separate thing. So you got this tapioca versus in the UK, where you have the Guardian on the left and the Telegraph on the right, and you can triangulate, and everyone knows their perspective, and you can hold them to the intellectual honesty of what they do. Here, I think objectivity is a lie. It doesn't exist. It never did. It's part of the priesthood we have. And part of my story, part of my point of the post I wrote, and thank you very much, Mike, for saying nice things, is that if you look at the combination of Arrington and then Jay Rosen went after Henry Blodgett for using anonymous sources. Henry came back and said, it's how I get the truth. You look at Irene coverage on cable, which, forget the overhyped question, it was underreported. You look at what's happening with WikiLeaks right now. What I'm coming to is I think that we in journalism get so much with our knickers and knots about what is journalism, whereas the world says, what's information? What do I need to know today? And Mike Arrington delivers information. Henry Blodgett delivers information. Whether they do it under the canons of journalism, well, that's really a separate question.
Just as newspapers responded to the threat of television and the fact there was a single newspaper in town with this kind of objectivity, I think that now we're seeing a response to the fact that facts are devalued. They're available widely. The internet makes facts available to anyone who seeks them out.
But that makes them more valuable, Leo. That means I think we're a more fact-based society today.
Well, I disagree. I think it means that the fact is everywhere. So analysis and context is more important than fact.
Oh, I see.
You see what I'm saying? So the factual matter, which is what the supposedly the objective reporter gives you, is here's the facts, you decide. That's gone because we can all get the facts. Now it's really a matter of how do we understand this? What does it mean? What's the context? And that's why shows like this, which really are, we do no reporting on this show.
Oh, no.
It's all analysis.
But Mike, that's your point.
But that's valuable, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what the money is. Analysis, analysis, analysis. Ballmer used to say that.
Ironically, this is what Google search deals with algorithmically.
Right.
You know, you search for something that has 1 million hits, and they give you the first 10.
It's taken the place of the independent newspaper.
Yeah,
the algorithm is supposedly independent.
Exactly, because the million unsorted is just completely useless.
Well, here's the other way to look at it. Do you all know Ushahidi? It's a wonderful platform that enables people in a Nigerian election or in a Washington blizzard or in Haiti to use a map and put up points of data about what's happening.
It's crowdsourced information.
It really is. And now I consider that journalism. I consider that the future of journalism, creating a platform where the community can share its own information. Now others say, no, it's not, because it doesn't have a story, it doesn't have the analysis, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that. I think the opposite. I think this is how journalism has to think, is in creating platforms. And we in technology and entrepreneurship, that's where the world goes. It's not about control anymore, it's about enablement.
Well, and Tim O'Reilly would say platform is everything. Government should be a platform. It's all a platform for us to use then in a kind of democratic fashion. The one thing that's missing from all of that, if reportage is just the ability to sift through facts and come up with a series of facts through something like Google algorithmically, who does investigative reporting? Who digs? Who presses? Is there no one to do that anymore? Is that gone?
No, it still has value, and it still has brand value.
Do it. A lot of people like to do it.
SF Weekly.
The weeklies do it. The big papers do it. The Times does it. There's a lot of independents trying to work their way up. It's not like there's a shortage of people cranking stuff out. And there's all these new things starting up, and they're trying to make a name for themselves. From the Beast, I would include, and the Daily, or whatever the heck.
So we shouldn't really worry about the.
I'm not worried about it.
Jeff, are you worried about it?
No, I mean, I think that where the future comes is in, that's why I teach entrepreneurial journalism. I think we've got to the journalists have to make their own jobs. They've got to figure out how to be sustainable. You know, when I questioned the future of journalism, one of our former students came into my blog posts and got mad at me and said, well, you know, what does your journalism school stand for then? Well, it should stand for asking questions. Right. It should stand for, you know, breaking the old assumptions, I think.
LWP in the chat room asked the modern equivalent of how is Babby formed? How is facts formed? Where do they come from? Who determines what is a fact? Is it Google?
No, it's Wiki. The Wikipedia, the book of knowledge.
Well, that's actually one of the big scary things about the internet universe, which is that used to be there was a shared set of facts in a society. There still is. It all came through the, well, is it? I mean,
the book of knowledge.
Well, I think we're getting to a point where everybody's got their own sets of facts. Certainly in politics,
that's scary.
The case.
Yeah, that's true in politics.
And you look at the political discourse in the United States right now, and it's one group with one set of facts and another group, and there's no...
Are we in a world of situational facts, like we had situational ethics, now we have situational facts, where there's no such thing as a fact?
You hear that one, Jeff? That's when we can steal.
It's an interesting idea, because
he does
traditionally, very rarely, traditionally we think of facts as facts, you know, ineffable.
When I worked on the midnight shift of the Chicago trip, there was a guy named Billy Garrett who worked the
Immutable,
desk.
not ineffable.
The phone would ring, and somebody would say, and Billy would get on the phone, and they'd say, we're having a debate in the bar, I bet. What's this? And Garrett's rule was always give them an answer, preferably the wrong one. Because he imagined that as soon as the phone hung up, and the next morning they had a huge bar brawl, and he caused it, and he giggled at it, right?
Oh, dear.
How did you find out facts in the old days? It goes back to your
go to the library.
Yeah, and who did?
Or you'd call the newspaper.
Call around.
So now we have an expectation of facts within 0.3 seconds.
Right.
And I think that's a better society.
I agree.
You think the old one's better than the new one?
No, new.
Yeah.
You know what's better about today's society is Wikipedia. There's an example of a site that is trying to have a unified...
The Book of Knowledge.
Why do you say that?
That's what it should be called.
The Book of Knowledge.
Well,
I think it should be called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
And you know the great thing about Wikipedia, not to interrupt.
Nobody agrees with these.
He's just trying to be contrarian. Me? So the thing that gets me about the Book of Knowledge is that you go to Wikipedia and you look something, you'll find like if some guy just got shot and you look him up, it's there because there are certain people that have decided to dog the topic. And in fact, one thing people don't realize is that if you go to some people's page and they have a topic dog, and you go and change a bunch of things, the guy gets an RSS feed immediately saying this has been changed on your page, and the guy goes back and switches it back.
Sometimes I think they shot him. Just to be fair, I mean, it's amazing. You go, I mean, literally.
Never thought of that. It's a good idea for a novel.
They beat like even Twitter.
It's really good. News is very good on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I think ultimately Wikipedia is the single success of the internet. To be honest, the rest of it, but it's like Godwin's law. It always comes down to the Wikipedia. Is the only thing we can point to with any certainty and say, look, see, it works.
Well, free porn.
And free porn.
And search.
But that's a broken business model now.
Free porn?
Well, we're not talking about a business model. We're talking about what's successful.
Okay.
There is no business model in free porn, I don't think.
No.
I'm sure there is.
It's just the exhibitionist going crazy.
I'm sure Wikipedia.
If anyone has a contact at YouPorn, I'd love to do that story.
You run into a bunch of it and go, who are
there
all these
there
people?
is a YouTube
Millions
for porn.
of people.
There is a YouTube for porn.
Absolutely. I mean, if anyone has a contact there, I'd love to do the story about the economics of it, because they
do they have ads?
What,
of course they have
called
ads.
PornTube or
you don't want to go. Okay, all right.
I don't know what it's called. Somebody in the I tell you, half the people in the chat room will know the name of it.
I can't get there right now because it's down because everybody went there. Seriously?
Oh no! There's no way that YouPorn is. There you go.
Yes.
Well, you see, there's ads. But no, okay. So yeah, I mean, there are economics there.
Looks like a lot of hard work. I hope.
They are serving tens and tens of millions of videos every day, so there's got to be some economics there.
Posted.
You know,
Leo was about to lose his clean gene image.
Yeah.
I actually. I thought it was down.
Side note to the TWiT team, there will be a little editing on this show.
I often think it's down.
I think it was
Sometimes
going
it's up,
down when
sometimes
you.
it's down.
I think it was going down when you opened it.
It's been
It
going
was
down
totally
for a long
going
time.
down.
Let's take a break, shall we?
Glad I brought it up.
Nobody's going to want to sponsor this segment.
True. I should really not. I should not do anything. Tom Merritt is not here. Normally he would at this time save me
of the porn,
by doing the week ahead, but Tom is actually at Dragon Con, where we've got a TNT that they recorded yesterday. That'll be on Monday, right? 2:30.
That'll be Monday, and tonight I guess we're going to show some NSFW from Dragon Con.
Dragon Con, the big sci-fi convention, and Tom Merritt is there. It's in Atlanta. Tom's with Veronica, Brian Brushwood, and Justin Robert Young. They're all there. So that's cool. That's very
Jonathan
cool.
Colton's out there.
Joko.
Storm.
He's got a new album. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about Google Plus in a little bit because Mike Elgan has some things to say about that. And then we got some throwaway stories like Facebook date forces woman to be getaway driver.
Now there you go.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
I throw those in for you.
I love them. Stay tuned. That's coming up next. But first, a word from Audible.com. Yes, we do have a sponsor for this segment, and it's the best darn bookstore on the internet, owned by Amazon. You know, one of the things they've done with the Kindle, and I'm sure the new Kindle will do this too, is when you go to your Kindle books on the Kindle, it also shows all your Audible books. Now, I've been an Audible member for more than 10 years, so I have 500 plus great audio books in my Audible list in the library. Now, the nice thing about this is any book you've ever bought from Audible is available to you forever. So it's like a real bookshelf where you can go back and say, oh, man, I haven't read that book in ages. Let's read it again. 75,000 titles, fiction, nonfiction, history. If you like science fiction, they've done such a great job. They've got a whole Audible Frontiers program to record. They have 9 studios in the Audible headquarters now to record audiobooks of classics in science fiction that nobody ever recorded because there was no money to be made. Great Robert Heinlein books and Isaac Asimov books. Of course, if you're into the Game of Thrones They've got that. In fact, I highly recommend it. Before next season, you got to read Clash of Kings, because you got to read these before they go on TV, in my opinion. If you're a True Blood fan, they've got the Sookie Stackhouse novels. It's all there. I just was at the Dexter set on Friday. That was so much fun. And, of course, Dexter's based on a classic book. You can get All the Dexter Stories by Jeff Lindsay on Audible.com. So if you're a fan of the Dexter TV show, read the books. You'll love them. I think Darkly Dreaming Dexter, the first one, was the one they based the series on. Audible is just a great resource. And here's the deal. Maybe, you know, life is busy nowadays in the 21st century where, you know, it's hard to find time to read. But we all spend time when we would read if we could, in the gym, in the car, on our commute, washing dishes, cleaning house. There's lots of stuff where if you had it, you could listen to it. And that's where this is so great for me. I get reading done hours a day that I wouldn't get otherwise. It plays on all your portable devices, all the iDevices, Zune, the Kindle, even many GPS devices. If you've seen the movie The Help, the book is even better. You got it. You got to get it. Audible.com. Now, here's the deal. If you go to audible.com/twit2, you're going to get 2, not 1, but 2 books to listen to. So go to audible.com, browse around all these amazing books. I'm reading right now, I'm a big David McCullough fan, and I am reading his latest, which is a really fantastic book about Americans who went to Paris in the 1830s and 40s. There was an exodus because Paris was, you know, the seat of culture when America was still, you know, an upstart nation. And this is such a wonderful book, The Greater Journey, Americans in Paris. If you love Paris, I'm going back to Paris
for Le Web in December.
Yeah, December. Cool. So I love reading about Paris, especially Paris in the 1830s. You know, the Louvre was already a museum by the 1830s.
You don't say.
You heard it. You heard of this. I guess they threw the king out of the palace. They had to do something. Hey, we'll put some. Well, I didn't know this, but Louis Philippe was a collector of great paintings. He bought the Mona Lisa, many other paintings, and brought them to the Louvre. Even then, they talk about the great painting that was painted of the Louvre by the American painter, and his name has gone out of my head now. But it's just a wonderful story. Not Nathaniel Hawthorne, not Oliver Wendell Holmes. James Fenimore Cooper was there. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Just really amazing book. But take your pick. You get 2 of them. Audible.com/twit2. You can you'll sign up for the Platinum account. That's 2 books a month. You can cancel it anytime. And books will be yours to keep forever and ever. Audible.com.
And dare I say it, I spent 2 days recording public parts.
Oh, you're kidding?
September 27th. Yeah, I recorded it.
In 2 days? You did the whole book in 2 days? I'm impressed.
I did.
So it's
poor editor. That poor, sucky editor. I figured there's about 2,000 edits to make.
But that's great. You're sitting, I've done this before. You sit in a booth. They're on the other side. The producer's there and the editor. And he says, well, stop, Jeff. Slow down a little bit. Or, you know, something like that. And then you just start up again. So you can whip through it. 2 days is pretty impressive.
Do they pay you separately for that? Do they essentially hire you as a voice, or you just do it?
Yeah, I got $5 grand for that.
They only offered me 2.
You got ripped off, so you got that professional voice.
Really?
He got $5 grand and you got 2.
I got an email saying, "Hey, this is great. We're going to give you $2,000 to read this
Signed the
book."
dummy contract.
Well, actually, I didn't do it. I said, I'm too busy. I wish I could have. I really love reading out loud. So that's cool. Was it fun? Was it a good experience, Jeff?
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking.
It's hard.
I mean, you know, Leo.
Yeah, it's
hard. Because it's one matter when the life is going by and you got life and it's happening and the show keeps going and we muff up. But when you're trying to read it, right, it's and the way I talk, which is really impossible to listen to because I talk really fast. Nobody understands what I say.
Right.
It's really
you have to slow down. Yeah. Yes. Well, good. Well, Public Parts comes out at the end of the month, and we'll be able to get the audiobook at the same time. That's great.
Sorry, audience. 2 plugs. Only 2 plugs so far.
No, I'm thrilled to do it. I can't wait to read your book. And I noticed that Cedric is looking at Audible. He says the Woody Allen Connect collection, which is
thanks to you, I've been a subscriber for
have you?
3, 4, 5 years.
Audible France, which is a little different, right?
No. I took the U.S. version. All I listen to are U.S. books anyway.
That's why your English is so good.
That's why his English is so good.
There are other factors as well, but yes, and I love the Woody Allen collection.
It's so great, and he reads.
You get 12 hours of Woody Allen reading to you, which is really super cool.
Talking like Woody.
Yeah, he's really playing out the book. So it's really very enjoyable.
They're so good. Steve Martin does a great job with his books, Born Standing Up. There are some authors who should read their books, like Jeff Jarvis, and when they're good, they're really good. Audible. I don't know if I want to hear Dick Cheney reading his book. In My Time, a personal and political novel. He actually doesn't narrate part of it, but Edward Herman takes the rest of it. Audible.com/twit to give it a shot. I think you will love it. I'm glad to hear that. So you became an Audible listener because of TWiT.
I'm not sure I listen to 2 books a month, so I have a sort of a backlog of books to go through.
That's what I do. I can't get through 2 a month. I get one a month, but I figure what I'm doing is saving up for my old age.
You know, Paris to San Francisco or Paris to Tokyo, which are the flights that we mostly do, are still 11 to 12 hours, so that's a lot of reading, quote unquote.
You go to Japan a lot?
Yeah, 2, 3, 4 times a year.
For Planet Crème?
Yeah, also on holiday.
On holiday. I just signed up to go on the next MacMania cruise, MacMania 15, November of next year to Australia. Oh, so I'll have that long flight to Sydney, so I'll need some Audible books for that. That's going to be fun. 2 weeks, we're going to the Great Barrier Reef. There's a total eclipse of the sun.
You going to make it down to Antarctica?
Don't. That's painful.
The only question is, why would you spend your time talking Macintosh during, you know, being there?
Well...
Here's the Great Barrier Reef.
They pay the way. Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, okay.
No, what's nice is you only do courses when you're at sea. So when you're at the Great Barrier Reef, you don't have to teach any courses. I'll do 4 or 5 courses probably. It's a 2-week cruise. If you want to know more about it, insightcruises.com. It's Australia. So I'm really glad because I'm going to get to see the solar eclipse, which is fun.
That's going to be awesome.
Scientific American kind of jointly sponsors these. We're going to Sydney, Newcastle, Brisbane, Hamilton Island eclipse is at sea, and then a couple of places in New Caledonia, including Ile de Pin, which is apparently a white sand paradise.
That's cool.
I can't wait. I can't wait. So, MacMania 15, if you want to know more about that. All right, that's enough plugs from me.
I brought out.
I see you brought your 10-inch cock.
Oh, you know, I had a better line than that.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
What was your line?
I'm not going to do it now.
Oh, go ahead. Come on.
And it's a 14-incher anyway.
No, the only reason I say that's from Chad's desk, Chad Johnson, one of our employees.
Who gave me permission to bring it out.
And he has an empty desk except for that rooster.
Yeah, well.
And I probably should say that for those listening on audio, that is in fact a stuffed rooster. They're probably wondering.
I don't think it's a real rooster. I think it's just a bunch of feathers around some sort of paper mache.
Have you seen the bad... I saw this on Google+, the bad taxidermy site?
Yes. No, that sounds like a winner, though.
Oh, my God. Is it funny? I think it's crappytaxidermy.com. And it just shows you that there is actually skill involved.
Which some people do not possess.
In stuffing animals. And some of this stuff is so bad.
Oh, no.
Some of these animals just...
Is that a real panda?
Yeah, probably. This is...
I think everyone should have their cat stuffed.
Did you ever stuff a pet? Oh, the audience is just not enjoying this site. Yeah.
They're groaning.
Yeah, groaning. Okay.
Oh,
sorry. There's children present. Please, John.
Please.
Story number 4. Google Plus. John C. Dvorak has now gone on record. Of course, he did it off mic, so let's see if he'll do it on mic.
I did it before. I've actually done it on this show.
Saying it has no future whatsoever.
Right. Or cut to.
Or cut to. That's saying a lot. Yeah. Meanwhile, Mike and I love it.
Yeah, good for you.
I love it. I went on something that I call the Google Plus diet, and the reason was self-preservation. I was on so many social networks, and I had a blog and a newsletter and all these different things, and I wrote a column saying, oh, Google Plus is so flexible, you can do everything on Google Plus.
Right.
And then after I wrote the column, I thought, well, if it's so great, why aren't I doing it?
Why, yeah.
And so you ate your own dog food?
I ate my own dog food, and now everything comes out of my Google Plus account. My newsletter is actually automatically produced.
Really?
Really. I'm using MailChimp and RSS, and it just goes out by itself. I don't touch anything.
That's very cool.
I have a weekly and a daily version. I could do an hourly version.
Just because of Google Plus?
Google Plus. It goes straight
All right,
up.
well, you're using it as some sort of content management system, which is not what social networks are for.
The best part is I don't use Twitter, Facebook, Quora, any of these other services. None of them. I just use one. And I used to have my content spread out all over, and everybody thought I was just one part of the elephant. Now I'm putting the whole elephant in one place, and it's like, wow, this is a lot of stuff. So it's really working for me, and I think it's going to be around for a long time.
I do too. I really like it, and I see some people like Mike, like Trey Ratcliffe, using it so effectively that I really think that there is something going on here, that this is more than just a blogging platform or a social platform. When you get engagement on Google Plus, it completely dwarfs everything else. You've been doing this on other platforms.
Sure.
I'm sure you agree that you're getting much more engagement there than anywhere else.
In terms of the implementation of everything, it's fantastic. The only problem with it is that mom and grandma and cousin
I
Ed
can't get
are
any
not,
of my families to use
they
this.
have no interest. So it's more Twitter than Facebook right now.
Right.
So, you know, the family element and all that stuff just isn't
there
happening.
you go. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's not a Facebook killer. It's its own thing.
Well, I'll agree with you on that.
The way you're using, like I said, it's a CMS.
But I don't think it's a Facebook killer, but I do think it is on its own something of great value.
So was Orkut. It was very popular in Brazil.
Well, yeah, it's like the Brazilians.
Well, I remember 3-4 years ago how no one got Facebook, except for students and maybe you and me.
Yeah.
Now even my mom is on Facebook.
It'll be
Mom, are you on Facebook?
Google Plus will be inescapable because Google is going to put it everywhere. I mean, it's just you're not going to be able to turn around.
Like the Google Wave, or was that other?
No.
Buzz,
The
Google
great
Buzz,
strength of Google Plus is that, for
Google, there's a
example,
bunch
even
of
if I'm inside Gmail or a Google Doc, I still get notifications. I can look at what people have just posted.
Yeah.
I can even reply or add a friend whilst never leaving my Google Doc or the email I was typing. This is so
That's pretty
immensely powerful.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can link to a post, that these posts are going to go way up into search results. I mean, we've only seen the beginning of it. It's not even public yet. Not everyone can really sign up.
Well, in fact, lots of different groups are banned from Google Plus right now. There's
Brands, companies.
People between 13 and 18, I think it is. People with strange names. If your name is
pseudonymous people.
Exactly. Well, even people whose real names are a little odd.
Do they end up getting blocked?
They get, well, right now,
this is because of the real name policy. If you're Lady Gaga, you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. And if you, there are people with very strange names who are not famous, and they're just out of luck. That just violates it. There's a really interesting Australian podcast where both the podcaster and his guest have real names that violate their policy. So neither of them are on Google Plus. So
how is that a good thing?
I'll tell you why it's a good thing. It's not a good thing for them. It's a terrible thing for them.
Well, then how is that a good thing?
Because it does mean that the people who are on Google... Now, this is a conversation we've had on Twig a lot, Jeff, so chime in. Yeah. But it does mean that the people who are on Google Plus are real people. And it raises the level of discourse. Well, I guess you could lie.
I guarantee you right now I could go on there with the name John Davis and set up an account, do a lot of chatting, and do whatever I want, and I'm not a real person.
The solution to this is really simple and easy, actually, and Google pretends like this solution doesn't exist. The solution is that you give Google your real name with a credit card, or some verified process.
Just like a porn site.
But then you get to use a pseudonym. And you inform other people that it's a pseudonym. So when I go to follow somebody, it's like, oh, here's John whatever, and it's
Davis.
a pseudonym. So if I can choose, okay, I don't want any pseudonym people, so I'm not going to follow, or maybe I don't care.
So that's interesting. If they had a switch that said, do not show me people whose names are not their actual names, and I got to choose, I probably would do that, to be honest with you.
All of the benefit, all of the major advantages.
What would be the point?
Because I don't like the trolls who pose as somebody not real.
I'm finding that the quality of discourse on Google Plus. I compared a post I put on both my blog and Google Plus, and I gotta say it's not always the case. The post I did today had good discourse, but Google Plus generally has better discourse. Part of the disadvantage of Google Plus is it's not lasting. It's very fleeting. It goes away. You can't really search it, which is ironic. So I don't know why.
That is ironic.
Well, I'm sure they'll fix that.
Oh yeah,
they will.
Unfortunately.
Why? Well, you don't like the idea.
Well, I think that should be a matter of choice. But one of the, I forgot who it is that is really driving this idea. But one of the, you need to be able to forget stuff eventually. I mean, this this thing about keeping on to everything you say.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
For 20 years.
It is evanescent, really.
Wow.
If we
That's the second big word you used today.
The first one I used correctly, so there.
Evanescent.
But anyway, I don't think the quality of discourse on Google Plus has anything to do with the real names policy. There are lots and lots and lots of people
who's
who are using
on it.
fake names.
So you really like it, I take it.
I do. But I just wish they would fix the
I
real
would have
names.
never figured that out.
Yeah.
All right, John, what do you most hate about it?
I just don't think it has all the elements
What
of
did you
it.
think about Twitter when you first saw it?
I like Twitter. I got onto it really early.
Did you?
Well, I mean, the first time I saw it is another piece
You
of...
mocked me.
I always mock you, so what?
He mocks everything.
So I don't think it's a social... It doesn't function as a social network with all the kind of crazy elements of the unfriending and creating an actual social structure. It's just basically
That's why
like
we
you
like
said.
it.
Yeah, that's why you like it, because you don't want to get involved in anything that's actually social, because you don't even answer your email, for God's sake. So I think it doesn't work as a social network. I think it works for what these guys are using it for, sure. And it's like Twitter, it has a certain value, but it's not a social network in the sense that Facebook is. Facebook is an actual force of nature.
Do you use Facebook a lot? Do you love
I don't
Facebook?
use Facebook at all.
But the thing is that I've posted things on both Google.
I don't want to be on a social network. Why would I use Facebook?
Listen to the
say he's
experts.
anti-social.
I think nobody, I'd be honest with you, I think most people don't like, even people who like Facebook don't like Facebook. Facebook is one of those things you ask people, they go, I really don't
My
like
wife loves Facebook.
Really just says, I love Facebook.
Yep.
How about here in the audience?
Come
you
on,
love
be
Facebook?
honest. You love Facebook? Say yes. There's one guy. She does. The female
Well,
does.
you use it a lot.
Women love
But
Facebook.
no, I'm not saying she does. I'm not saying they don't use it a lot, but you kind of, it's a love-hate thing, right?
Yeah, it's the only thing out there.
It's the only thing out there. So you use it because you get value out of it, but it's not what you want. It's not exactly
You
right.
don't know that.
Yeah, by default.
Women
you use
love
it by
Facebook.
default.
But correct me if I'm wrong. The value of Facebook is that everybody's there. Everybody's on Facebook
Exactly.
because everybody's on
You
Facebook.
have to use it.
Exactly. So I think eventually.
Already we're seeing the boy-girl ratio on Google Plus.
Oh, it's
sausage
terrible.
fest.
It's almost 80% men.
Yeah, and that's telling you what? That it's not social.
Because if
they
it were
didn't invite
social,
the
women
white
would use it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that might be.
Women
No,
are more
I'll
social
grant
than
you
men.
that. Women are more social than men. In general, I grant you that. According to social statistics,
Somebody says it's funny.
according to socialstatistics.com, the ratio is 86% men
There you go.
to 12% women to 1% other.
And here you go.
I think the other is giant cocks and furries.
You said it.
God, I'm going to have to edit this show.
You're going to
like
have to
crazy.
really go post on this one.
I think so.
We're taking
only
notes.
10-minute show.
Are you ready? Yeah, it's going to get getting shorter all the
Taking
time.
quite a few notes.
I agree, John, that Google Plus is a mystery at this point to me. I don't know what the prognosis is. I think it's very interesting, and I think it's encouraging that Google, who has had a series of bad failures like Wave and Buzz, actually could learn something from those and do something that at least works for now.
Well, I'm going to talk to Mike after the show and find out what his automated system is that he can do these newsletters.
There's no API, but there is RSS. So
There's
you're able to do that.
RSS.
So
There's
he's putting something together. We'll just talk about it later, and I'll do a report sell for 99 cents via the Jarvis methodology.
And what is the story on Twitter? What is the future of Twitter?
I think it's still like the pulse of the internet. It's so fast to go through. It is live. It is time-based. You see things in a chronological order, which is not the case on Google, on Google Plus, where you see stuff depending on the number of comments or likes, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, for following things live, Twitter is still the best.
Yeah,
Twitter
for a
is
big
where
news
people
story,
knew that you were on YouPorn. I'm not sure people on Google Plus realize that.
But here's what people
Which is a good thing.
need to realize.
It's on
There's
YouTube
no
already.
reason to use Twitter, because if you use Google Plus and then hook in Twitter to Google Plus, then everything you post on Google Plus instantly shows up on Twitter. I think Twitter's going to become an empty shell where everything is just
I think it
automatically
already
dumped
is.
into it, kind of like Buzz was.
I kill anybody's account on Twitter that I'm following who reposts Foursquare or somebody says, all these secondary things.
Yeah,
If I wanted
only
to follow
post
somebody on,
mayorships.
If I wanted to follow somebody on Foursquare, I join Foursquare and follow them.
But it's an awesome thing to do, because when you post something on Google Plus,
Can I say something extremely controversial? I think Twitter has become a little bit more urban. It is no longer the geeks. If you look at these are the trending topics U.S. wide right now on Twitter, except the promoted one, which is a geek story. Team Bieber is a beast. Happy birthday, Beyonce. Daddy's little girls. Dirty Bieber secrets. I really hate when and stop bragging about. It has become.
It's all about celebrity culture.
Didn't we?
I mean,
these
look
early
like,
on.
Yeah, it's trash.
Yeah,
this has become the TMZ of social media.
But you don't have to follow those people or those trends. You can have your own little group, and you can use them for whatever reason you want. I use it for feedback with readers, and I also use it for crowdsourcing. It works fine.
I haven't even visited it in months.
You hated it from ever since
Plus,
they took the name Twitter.
Google Plus is so much better for crowdsourcing. It's not even close.
I agree.
I mean, and the great thing is if you hook in Twitter via Google Plus, then that link takes you to the Google Plus, back to Google Plus, where you can have a real conversation.
Do a paper on this and sell it for 99 cents via the Jeff Jarvis.
But you can't have a conversation on Twitter.
But Mike,
how do you have a conversation?
I don't want a conversation.
Mike, I disagree. I disagree to this extent. During Irene, our overdone storm here on the East Coast, and I don't mean that because it was a tragedy, but it was overdone on cable TV. But during Irene, I found that no one was discussing it on Google Plus, and it's not. You can't gather around a hashtag. You can't gather around a search topic. Whereas to discuss an ongoing news story like that as it was occurring, or the East Coast earthquake, which we really overdid, but Twitter was the place for that.
For that kind of news and for earthquakes, things like that, I mean, Twitter is, it's just like you get it instantly. It's awesome for that. But I think that the minority of information out there is natural disasters and things like that, are the really real-time breaking stories. I just think that it's, John mentioned crowdsourcing. Google Plus, I post something on Google Plus, I get,
Oh yeah, I agree with you there.
Really
I'm not knocking it. I like Google Plus. I like them both. I think they're for different things.
Yeah.
And I use them all.
Okay.
All right. Whatever.
I think we beat that one to death.
I think I really want to talk about the Facebook date that turned so bad.
That's the story of the day.
And we'll wrap up with that. What do you say?
Well, what about the story about apparently Eric Schmidt quit the Apple board because he couldn't stand being on it?
No. I was there. He didn't say that.
Oh, okay,
he was talking to Mark Benioff at Dreamforce. They had sort of a fireside chat. And someone at Bloomberg thought he heard Eric Schmidt say, I stayed on the Apple board until I couldn't stand the board anymore.
Wow.
No, what he really said was until I couldn't stay on the board anymore. Meaning when Google launched Android, et cetera, et cetera.
Right,
But it felt weird because Schmidt just said that he thought that Steve Jobs had done the best jobs as a CEO of any CEO in the last 50 to 100 years. So
it was a misunderstanding.
Absolutely. But I mean, look for it.
Alfred Sloan was pretty damn good.
Look for it on YouTube. Eric Schmidt was
Alfred Sloan.
Come on.
I love you, John. I don't know where the hell you come up with this crap.
Alfred Sloan's probably the greatest CEO that ever lived.
The greatest CEO ever lived was Alfred P. Sloan.
Check it out.
What did Alfred? I'm curious. I've never heard of. What I mean, I know his foundation.
Sloan?
I never heard of what he did. What did he do?
He's the one who created General Motors from a bunch of little car companies and built the biggest corporation in the world.
Oh, that's
look how well that turned out.
Alfred Sloan's dead.
No, I mean, look for the Eric Schmidt's. Look for the Eric Schmidt speech on YouTube. It's pretty interesting, especially when he talks economy and politics. And basically, Mark Benioff tries to get him to say stuff about Steve Jobs, Steve Ballmer, Mark Zuckerberg, et cetera, et cetera. And it's sometimes funny. The guy can be funny.
Check it out.
Intentionally, I mean.
According to The Economist, the esteemed economist, Alfred Sloan was not only arguably the most original CEO and organizational thinker of the 20th century, clever enough to set his record down in a book that has become a management classic, My Years with General Motors.
You can get it on Audible.
Dvorak's going to do his management book for 99 cents.
Yeah. Well.
Do you think better than Bill Gates, Ford, Henry Ford?
Much better than Henry Ford,
Jack
for sure.
Welch.
Welch is overrated.
Yeah. All right. So, here's how it works. A guy, Leah Gibbs from South Wales, which is in the UK. She's 23 years old. She met a guy named Adam Minton on Facebook and said, let's go out on a date. She hoped they would spend their first date watching a DVD at Minton's house. When Gibbs arrived, Minton told her he needed to see a friend and asked whether she might drive him to see said friend. Apparently there was no friend. Instead, she drove him to an off-track betting shop where he threatened the staff with a kitchen knife and took off with the cash, leaping back into her car, telling her, "Go, go, go."
Dream date.
This is why Facebook needs a don't like button.
She told the Daily Mail, "I thought I would be ending the night in Adam's arms. Instead, he had landed in the long arms of the law, and I was facing jail."
Who talks like that?
I know, but he does.
People in Wales.
In Wales, they talk like that. Governor. It's a dumb story, and I'm sorry.
I love that story.
I love it. It's a great story. I just like
what I love
a
about
lot
the
more
story.
than's reported.
And the moral of the
What's
story
great about the story is that he talks the cops into letting her go and says that it was just their first date. That's the charm.
I missed the bottom line there.
Turns out to be a charming date after all. A prince. She should marry him once he's out of jail.
And Mike Elgan says the thing we learned so much from this story is, I don't know.
No idea.
No idea.
Be careful who you date on Facebook.
Yeah.
I think we've covered the couple suing LoJack for spying on sex chat. Netflix is going to let Starz walk away. They don't have any choice. Starz says in February we're not going to offer our movies on Netflix
They
anymore.
say it's only 8% of their content now.
Yeah, really? I don't know. It's all the new stuff. Meanwhile, Dish is apparently preparing a Blockbuster, they own Blockbuster, branded Netflix streaming competitor. This according to GigaOM. Timing it well, considering the issues going on with Netflix. Can there be more than one Netflix?
I wish there were one in Europe. Actually, Netflix is coming out in Europe, which is the big news. I mean, as far as I'm concerned.
It would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
I don't know
this is
how
so
you
cool.
live without Netflix.
Nah,
It's
well.
key.
I get the feeling that the Netflix thing was all about pricing, and Netflix is kind of the hero here because essentially Starz wants to crank up the
Right.
the
Netflix
cost
said
and the pricing,
9.
and they want to keep the cost of streaming movies down, and that's great because this is a repeat of the music industry where the music industry just kept
But they must be under such pressure from not only the movie industry, but cable companies who really don't want you to be using their cheap bandwidth to be watching $7.99 a month movies on Netflix when you could be paying that much for one movie on their video on demand. This is
That's
bad.
why I like the Dvorak method of paying by the minute.
Yeah,
that's where it should be.
It's doable.
This cock
if you
keeps
get that
moving
big
around.
old dish.
We have run out of time, but I do want to thank. We actually haven't, but I've run out of stories, so let's just call it a day.
It's gone. You're
run
gonna
out
it's
of
because you're going to
patience.
spend all this extra time posting out all this the filth that's in this show.
This is going to take us forever to edit it. Thank God.
It's all your fault, John.
It's John C.
No, it was
Dvorak's
not
fault.
my fault.
No, he's been good today. Very good. Thank you for being
Leo
here, John.
flashed the porno.
No, I
that
think we.
that was
I
the
think
beginning of the
It
end.
was brief. It wasn't as bad as our chat roulette moment a few months ago.
We got the
Whose
time
idea
code.
was that?
We'll block it out.
I think you should just blur it. Don't block it. Blur it.
Blur it.
Yeah.
I don't think we actually saw. I think we saw.
I don't think you saw anything.
But I
Saw
think
a
people
butt,
are going
you
to
think?
take stills or whatever.
Well, I
I don't know.
I'd like to see those stills. So
Well, you can look at them later. I want to remind people that I'm at channeldvorak.com and noagendashow.org and dvorak.org/blog.
and see his bricks of their many. Of
I'm
them.
going to go see these bricks
Yeah.
that you claim they're.
Yeah, you have fans. You have many,
I
many,
have a
many
couple
fans.
guys that like. Listen.
Mike Elgan, I'm so glad you came. I've been such a fan for months.
months?
Years. I just discovered him last August.
For days.
For days.
For an hour or two.
Since Tuesday.
Until recently, he's been a fan.
It's all about Google Plus. No, I've been a fan. I got your newsletter. You did the great quirky stuff for a long time. I'm just really glad we could get you on the show. I've been meaning to for ages. I don't know what took me so long. Thank you. Come back.
I would love to.
Where should people go to find out more about you?
Google Plus.
Yeah, that's where he lives now,
No
baby.
kidding.
No kidding. Search for me.
And the newsletter's free, and it's really great to subscribe to. But you know what? If you read Mike's stuff on Google Plus, you've read it all.
Yep.
And elgan.com is the now defunct website.
Yeah.
Do you post anything there?
No.
No, nothing.
It's defunct.
It's defunct. It's
That's
the
kind of sad, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, shouldn't you have some sort of a forward or something?
I've quadrupled my readers
wow.
on Google.
Isn't that
Plus.
great?
It's amazing.
Isn't that awesome? I hear more and more success stories from photographers, from bloggers. It's incredible. And you're writing a book called The Spartan Diet.
That is correct.
Tell me about that, because I need that Spartan diet.
With my wife, she's sitting in the audience there.
Really?
Yeah, she's an expert on food and health and so on. My wife,
Oh, that's
Mary.
exciting. Is it like paleo or that kind of thing?
It's.
Am I going to have
it's
abs of steel?
Yes, you are. It's a step.
That I'd like to see.
It's a step up from paleo. It's like it's paleo, but with really delicious food.
And you brought chocolate? Is this allowed?
Tasty paleo.
No.
No.
Yeah, so there's so
I want to do the Spartan diet.
Yeah.
I'm ready to do it.
Okay.
I will be a guinea pig.
We will personally coach you.
Wow. That
There
sounds
you
great.
have it.
No, seriously. When's the book coming out?
Later this year.
Okay. Come back.
Okay.
And we'll talk about it.
Wonderful.
And we could make this be like the Spartan diet. I will be your I'll be before. I can't promise after, but I'll definitely be before. Cedric Ingrand came a long way to be here.
My pleasure.
Not as
Uncle
far
Leo.
as the people from Switzerland, but, still.
You know.
Still, it was so nice to have you. Plenacren is on every week on TCI.
It's on every week. It first runs on Saturdays at 1:10 p.m. But I mean, you have to be French to understand what goes on in there. So, unfortunately, I only do French stuff.
Do you think French technology is different? I mean, in France, it's a different thing.
All I cover is in the U.S. and Asia. So
It's our stories, yeah.
Yeah, basically, they're the same stories. No, there are some very cool French startups, which I'll introduce you to when you come to Paris in December for Le Web.
I'm very excited
Because if we don't plug Le Web, Le Wiki is going to come after the both of us. And I'm also on a weekly podcast, on a weekly Mac podcast called On Refait le Mac, which we can find on onrefaitlemacom. And
that, by the way, in French means the big 10-inch cock.
And you can't resist, can you?
Show titles.
And I love Google Plus, which is where I think you can really find me now. But I'm still
That's a lot of time on
But
it.
I'm still Cedric on Twitter, which really works.
That's nice that you have that.
Short and sweet. You could have been Leo.
Yeah.
Yes,
no,
you could.
Could I?
Oh, yeah. For a few months last year, they were sort of closing
I
down
could have
unused
asked about
accounts.
I wanted to be Leo Laporte. I am what I am, and that's all that I am. Le Web is in Paris, December 7th, 8th, and 9th. You can go. We certainly love it if you would. We will be broadcasting from Le Web. We're going to have a special TWiT booth there, and we will be interviewing people from Le Web. So all of these great speakers like Phil Lieben from Evernote, and Marissa Meyer from Google, Jeremy Stoppelman from Yelp, and maybe even that Mike Arrington guy will be joining us.
Screw you, Mike.
For a reprise. Will be joining us at our Le Web coverage. Jeff Jarvis is the host of This Week in Google, which we see every Wednesday on the TWiT network at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern at twit.tv, and also, of course, the great blogger at buzzmachine.com. And yes, an active participant in Google Plus as Jeff Jarvis. It's great to have you, Jeff.
Everybody here except Dvorak.
Yeah,
As
really,
usual,
you're the only
he's the one left out.
I have an account, and you can go and find it. I have posted.
Have you?
What was the last time?
Oh, a month ago, maybe. What's the rush? What's the rush?
What's the rush?
Now that Elgan gave me this automated thing,
That's pretty cool.
I may follow up.
You could use it as
I'll listen to. He'll be my guru.
the base station. Anyway, Jeff, great to have you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me here. I love being
Skype.
on TWiT as well.
Yeah, we love having you. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We do this show every Sunday on twit.tv. By the way, notice I don't say live.twit.tv anymore because the new website, which has launched, and we worked on it. I know it's not perfect. It's still a field trial, but we've worked and we're improving it. We still have more to do. I know we're hearing your compliments and complaints with twit.tv. I think we're getting very close to finally the site that TWiT deserved, and you can watch live there, twit.tv, whenever we're on any show, but 3 p.m. Sundays, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 2200 UTC. That's the time if you want to watch live. And, of course, after the fact, you can get it from that site as well, twit.tv. Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you next time. Another TWiT is in the can.
This is amazing.